Y'all ready though?
This is Sweet 303 live from
Sweet 303, baby. You are now listening to Live from Sweet 303.
It is live from Sweet 303. It's your boy Albeezy. Got your boy Derric.
Happy Saturday.
We got a special guest in the building. It's real special because this is my little sister actually.
Hey.
Miss Annalie, say something to the people.
Hey, what's up?
This is
Inland Empire?
Yeah. More than just Inland Empire because she's based out of San Diego, and this is episode 6. 6. Right? We went 6?
Yeah, it is.
Alright, we on episode 6, live from Sweet 303. We got Annalie Payne in the building, my little sister, aka the hottest therapist in town right now. Yeah, she's the hottest. She getting clientele. Everybody, people got issues. You need to come see my sister. She has a Bachelor's of Science from University of
Georgia.
Which is, what did you graduate from there with?
Graduated from University of Georgia, shout out to the Bulldogs, with a Bachelor's of Science in Human Development and Family Science, and then went to San Diego State.
Okay.
So, shout out to the Aztecs. And graduated with a Master's of Science in Marriage and Family Therapy / Counseling.
All right. And I wanted to get her on the show today because mental health is in the news, like, all the time now. You can't, it's like anything that's popping up, mental health is being tied into it. Yeah. Somebody does something crazy at a school, mental health. Even with race, mental health. Guns, mental health. Children, adults, we're talking about mental health.
Yeah.
Even on Jay-Z's 444 album, heavily they were talking about mental health.
Right.
Even shouted him out at his the tour he did in LA at the Forum. He shouted out, what was the dude's name that committed suicide?
Khalif Brown?
No. He was in that group, Linkin Park. The lead
drummer,
singer.
or the singer.
No, the lead singer.
Okay.
Yeah, I apologize. I
Fred
forgot
Durst?
his name. But, not, oh,
I
man.
know who Fred
Come
Durst
on,
was
we gotta look up my man's name real quick. Hold on. I feel so
I
disrespectful.
said Fred Durst.
Fred Durst.
I don't think that's Linkin Park.
I think that was that Linkin Park?
Chester Bennington.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go.
But yeah, so anyways, I want to get my little sister on the show. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now, though. We can jump right in.
Right now, I run a mental health blog, and I'm also in private practice in San Diego.
What's the name of the blog?
The blog is SimpleeTherapy. You can
Okay.
follow it at SimpleeTherapy on Instagram.
Okay.
The blog is SimpleeTherapy.com. You
Okay.
can find it there.
Wait, how do you spell SimpleeTherapy? Because I know it's different.
Simply is based off of my name. I go by Lee with all my clients, so it's SimpleE.
Okay.
Therapy, spelled normally.
Simple.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
All
basically simple with an extra
Got
E
it.
on
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So you got the blog, you got the website.
I run a private practice out of the Mission Valley area of San Diego, so I'm there Monday, Tuesday, and Saturday. I'm pretty booked right now, but openings come up fairly often.
Okay.
But yeah, I do that, and then I also see clients at a high school in San Diego.
Oh wow. So yeah, high school. That's usually people want to stay away from high school when it comes to the education fields. You have like a lot of crazy stories. I know you can't discuss them, but
I don't have any crazy stories yet.
okay.
Hopefully, I don't get any
Okay.
crazy stories. But we do. I'm working specifically with students that have behavior issues already. Like they're known for having behavior issues and mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be challenging, but it's fun.
And then at the private practice, is there a certain age group you deal with, or it really is very open?
Adults, pretty much anybody like 16 and older.
Okay.
I know a lot of people that do play therapy or therapy with children, but it's not necessarily my expertise.
Yeah.
So I stick with the teenagers and the adults.
And then do you find as if like you have more male clients, more females, or really just a good mix?
Right now my caseload is Black women, basically all of
really?
them. Yeah. So
That's your preference, or that's what's put on your desk?
that's my preference, and that's what is put on my desk. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Luckily, I've been marketing specifically to Black women because that's kind of a area where I would hope that more women that look like me are going to therapy and actually checking in and kind of taking care of themselves.
Black women, well, Black people as a whole, I think need therapy a lot.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's something that we as a community don't really talk about or don't want to deal with, and really and truly in the past it's not catered towards us. Therapy is something that it's very expensive usually. Usually the person sitting across from you is like an old white guy or like an old white woman.
Expensive, is just like your insurance cover this, or is this really like out of pocket?
I mean, a lot of it just depends.
Oh, okay.
So there's all sorts of ways of getting around the expense of it that not a lot of people know about. So normally it's out of pocket. It can be upwards of $200 a session. So but there's ways.
This is why Black people don't
go
to get
this is why.
Well, that too, and also in the Black community, if you admit that something is wrong with you mentally, or you go get therapy, people look at you as weak.
Yeah.
You know, that too.
Especially as a man.
Yeah.
It's very hard for someone to say, hey, man, what you got going on, man? I'm about to go get some therapy. What's wrong with you? That's the first thing they're going to say is, what's wrong with you? And they might think, oh, this dude's soft. Like, he had to go talk about his issues.
But that's the reason why it's so good that mental health is becoming more of a topic in media and in the news and whatever, because people are starting to talk about it. And instead of being like, oh, I have some issues going on that I wish I could go to a therapist for, but I'm not going to because so-and-so is going to judge. Now it's becoming, hey, everybody's going. Everybody's doing this thing. It's definitely like going to the doctor and getting a checkup. Like, you just just check in.
Some people don't look at it as they have a mental issue or they didn't need help because it's not past a certain level. You know, some people might just be depressed for a couple weeks or whatever. Some people may see mental health as or something wrong mentally as if they got to do something crazy and sporadic, you know, attempt to kill themselves or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. Some people think, you know, just because they feel down, they don't think they need to talk to somebody.
Even if you just witness something, you really need to go talk to somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
I know people in the hood, you know, might see someone get shot, killed. You might have a family member that did do something like that, and you're thinking, well, they need therapy. He killed somebody.
Yep.
You need therapy because your family members with them. You know, you're experiencing different things, but definitely still need to talk to somebody about it.
It's like bi-curious trauma.
Yeah.
Basically.
Now, when someone talks about it, like, what exactly, like, how is that helping them? Is it just getting it off their chest? Or are you, like, giving them advice? Or are you really, they're just...
It depends. I always say I don't give advice. Like, I'm not going to... A lot of people expect a therapist, they're going to come in, sit down, and be like, these are my problems, what should I do? Tell me. And they expect me to just be like, oh, do A, B, and C. That's not my job. My job is to make you realize what you need to do. So, because I'm not living your life. If I tell you to go, you know, get a divorce or whatever because your husband's terrible, like, then you're going to make that choice based on what I said.
Yeah.
And you're not making it based on the fact that you realize I need to do better for myself. I need to be in a healthy relationship.
Okay.
So there's a difference.
Okay.
So I find that a lot of people, they want advice, and I always turn that advice into a question and be like, what do you think you should do? What are some things that you've tried doing before that didn't work or that did work? How can we improve on that and kind of get you to a place where you can make those decisions for yourself?
It's almost like a guiding light.
Yeah.
Try to, which path you need to go on. Where do you think you should be going? And try to, like, guide them.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if I'm the one making all the decisions for you, then you're going to need me forever. Because when something else comes up, then you're going to be like, oh, I got to go back to therapy and ask my therapist what to do. Instead, I want you to get to a place where you can make those decisions for yourself, and you know the next time that something comes up, you know, I need to do A, B, or C.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I know Derric, you got had a book from one of your friends too. That's also in like what similar field.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly what he's doing now 100% when it comes to his professional field. I do know it has something to do with social work.
It's a black man?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
His name is Gary Taylor. Went to high school with him. But he does a lot of stuff back home in our community. At the high school, the middle school, churches, with the police department. But he talk about, mental health and interaction with police officers and try to understand people in your community. But the book he talks about, it's called You Good Fam. Because, in the black community, you say you good fam, it can mean a whole bunch of different stuff. Yeah. And, you good fam, you got a problem, you got an issue, you want to fight, or you good fam, you all right, you need help, something wrong. But he breaks down the difference between mental health and mental illness. Somebody like me on the outside, I wouldn't know the differences, to be 100% honest with you. Like I know it's a difference, but without it being explained by somebody, a professional or somebody in that field, I would not understand that it's a difference between mental health and mental illness. So that book breaks that down. And he explained in the black community, of course, a lot of people, Christianity is heavy for a lot of black people. And so in the book, he also talks about how Christianity, how sometimes it could get in the way of your mental health and you try to understand what's right for you, what's wrong for you. Because you've been conditioned a certain way your whole life, being raised in the church. Yeah. That sometimes, you're told just pray about it. So he talks about that too in the book. That's something that I thought was important. But yes, it's a cool book. Gary T. Taylor. It's called You Good Fam. You can get it on Amazon. Okay. And he has a website called, I think it's uphold318.com. And I forgot exactly what that means, but it's a breakdown on his website, and he has a lot of information on it. So.
See, that's dope because as I'm getting older, I mean, years ago, if I thought of a therapist, I'm thinking of like middle-aged Caucasian lady sitting down somewhere. You definitely need money to go see a therapist because in the movies and TV shows, even the rich people are the only ones ever going to therapy sessions. And now these days, we're talking about it in hip-hop and songs. We got young black men, young black women being the therapists, being the ones that are, giving out the information and trying to break it down to the youth, really. And I've been seeing a lot more people my age and younger even saying that, hey, I want to go get therapy. Like, almost like they're a little excited, like, yo, I can't wait. Like, I'm interested in going to get this done and, try to learn more about themselves, really, and try to get answers.
Going to a therapist now is like saying you're going to a financial planner or something. Like, I'm trying to get my money right. Like, when you go to a therapist, like, I'm trying to get my life right. I'm trying to get my head right. Like, I'm trying to figure things
the world's
out.
Crazy right now. With the president we have, I mean, a lot of things where people are trying to figure out themselves. Plus, too, I mean, it's a different generation than years ago. I mean, people are, like, really confused when your parents may have had a house, 2 cars, family of 3, age 25. Now it's like 39 years old, living at home. What am I gonna do? Definitely let me go get some therapy and see what I need to get done.
That's what a lot of my clients come in talking about. Is they're talking about, I want to change my career. I want to change something about my life. I just got out of a relationship. I don't know what to do now at 30, 35, 40, however old they are. And it becomes kind of I need to talk with someone to kind of get my ideas and my thoughts out of my head and kind of go through them and have someone help you like organize it and figure it out and really kind of get down to what you need to do, what steps you need to take next in order to get to the right place.
Social media too alone is probably like messing with people's heads.
And like it's very I don't know how they're gonna take studies to be able to tell, but by the time we get 70, 80 years old, it's gonna be studied to be able to tell how social media and technology has affected people's health, whether mentally and physically. They already show studies now that they call something like it's a neck type syndrome, Where because if you're on your phone so much, you get your head bent down.
Oh wow.
You have a lot of neck spasm and other stuff like that. So I think social media can ruin and is ruining a lot of people. A lot.
Yeah, because it kind of shows you this curated life that people that you're friends with or you're not friends with are living, and it makes you think, oh, like I should be accomplishing that. Like, oh, look at this like 25-year-old that's like flying to different countries every weekend and like doing all sorts of stuff, and it's like you don't really know. Like, I just saw today someone said like people aren't posting their failures. Like people aren't posting about the fact that they have like a tiny 1-bedroom with no furniture that they go home to and they only eat ramen. Yeah. And then they're saving all their money just so they can take these pictures and have these trips that make them look like they're living this lavish life.
But you got an air mattress that's has a hole in it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's what my clients are coming to me talking about. Like, hey, like, I'm looking on Instagram and I feel like I'm failing because I'm not doing these things that other people are doing. Yeah, exactly. Wow. Like, people are worried about going to their high school reunions and being like, oh, I saw this person from high school and they're doing all these things. They have, like, a family and kids and they're flying all over the place. And, like, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do. Like, and they're worried about, like, seriously concerned, and it causes them stress every day. And that stress is oozing into other parts of their lives. They can't have successful relationships. They can't be successful at their career because they're stressed out about, oh, I should be doing more. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And it's messing with people's heads at the end of the day. It's messing with how people live their lives.
Now, is there a difference? Well, I mean, I know there's a difference, but how do you, like, if you have a client, are you able to tell, like, this person has a mental health issue or a mental illness issue? Yeah,
I'm actually writing about that currently on the blog, but there's basically a spectrum. So you can come to therapy for improving your mental health. So that could just be like, I feel like I'm not taking care of myself the way that I should. And then learning how to cope with just day-to-day stresses, microaggressions, which are basically like people that are racist, but they don't realize they're being racist when they say certain things. Like, oh, I've literally had someone at work ask me, like, is your hair real? Like, before they attempted to compliment me about my hair, and I'm like, would it have made a difference if my hair wasn't real? Like, would you still have complimented me?
That's a white woman that.
Yeah, and like you would never ask like a white woman that. So like they probably have extensions in their hair anyway. But like, so things like that people come in and they're like, I just need to like talk about how much I hate my job or how much like how this affects me on a day-to-day basis. And that's kind of taking care of your mental health and just trying to make sure you're keeping yourself healthy. Now then on the other side of the spectrum, there's mental illness. So that's like a serious chronic illness. It's just like if you have diabetes or something, like that's something that you need to have medication to take care of and things like that. Like Kanye West, he says that he's bipolar. That's a mental illness. It's not just like, oh, something I need some coping skills to deal with. Like, you got to do a lot more to manage that on a day-to-day basis. It's manageable. It's something that more than you'd think people are living with on a day-to-day basis.
Bipolar
disorder, okay. Which there's bipolar 1 and there's bipolar 2, but that doesn't really matter really for this. But at the end of the day, like I have clients who come in, they have a mental illness and they see a psychiatrist, get their meds for it, and then they also come to me in order to manage kind of the day-to-day things that come along with it. And then eventually sometimes they are able to get off of the medication and they're able to live life without it. Sometimes they have to stay on it for an extended period of time. But at the end of the day, like people are always concerned like, oh, I don't want to be on medication because of this or that, or people are going to think I'm weird because I'm taking medication for this. But it's like, if you had diabetes and you needed an insulin with you, like nobody's going to be like, oh, why don't you just like eat better and stop using your insulin? Like, no, like sometimes you need that extra help in order to. Back in the day,
where the old school Jamaicans, they'll just be like, drink some tea.
Yeah, like
just drink some tea. You'll be straight.
And it's the same thing like I've talked about before in the blog, like when people say like just pray about it, like if you had a broken leg, like you can't just pray that your broken leg heals all of a sudden. Like sometimes you need to go to a professional, a doctor to get some extra help. And then it can go hand in hand with church. Like praying about it helps. That's a coping skill. Like having faith in something that helps comfort you. And then you can also go to a therapist and talk about it and get some other coping skills or get some other sources of help so that you can put those all together and really fix some
You gotta
things.
attack your life like you would anything else. Like, if I'm practicing basketball, I'm not just practicing dribbling. I'm shooting. I'm in the gym by myself. I might go play against somebody that's harder than me. Then I might go play pickup basketball. Then I might eat healthy. I'm going to the gym. It's numerous things you got to do to take care of yourself, and that's, I guess, like how you got to approach like your own mental health and your mental illness or anything.
Yeah.
Go get therapy. Yeah. Take the medicine. Have your faith with God.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it all ties in.
Like,
to be better, be a better person, basically.
Yeah, it's just like life in general. You have to do everything in moderation. You need a little bit of everything. You can't just eat bananas every day, 3 times a day. Like, you gotta mix it up, eat a few different things, like, keep your body healthy. You gotta do the same thing with your mind. You gotta mix it up. You gotta, sometimes the relationships that you're in aren't healthy, and you gotta switch it up and find new friends, find new partners, whatever it is, and you gotta do things to take care of yourself at the end of the day.
And I think people sometimes, the good thing about therapy too is sometimes people need to hear it from somebody that doesn't know them and knows this is what they do. Because a lot of times you might hear it from a friend, but sometimes you might think, well, my friend also gave me bad advice in the past, so what do they know? Possible. Or they might say, oh, I'm not going to not see Tommy anymore. Are you just jealous? But if it's coming from somebody that you completely don't know, and you're telling your story, and they're like, it might help somebody out, but like, you know what, maybe I should change my life around.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. I want a third-party perspective, someone that's unbiased to tell me what to do. And then, again, I say, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but what would you tell your friend to do if they were coming to you with the same situation?
And that could be a good marketing spin. The third-party perspective. Go get therapy.
Yeah,
like, everybody needs a third-party perspective.
Exactly.
But back to bipolar, is bipolarism, or is it
bipolar disorder?
Yeah. Is it both ways, or am I just being?
You just make it up.
I just made up bipolarism. That's an Albeezy term. So, anyways, can you get a bipolar disorder eventually in life? Are you born with it, or?
So usually it presents in like your early to mid 20s. So a lot of mental health disorders, mental illness shows up in those early 20s. Is
that when it's detected, or?
That's when you start seeing the symptoms. So that's when symptoms are showing up. It doesn't really happen. I feel like part of the reason is, or not that I feel like, but literally part of the reason is your brain is still developing up into that stage of 25 is when your brain's like fully developed. And then it's basically downhill from there. So,
oh, wow.
So
explains a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So once that happens, around that stage where it's finally fully developed is when people start seeing these symptoms that they didn't see before. So either it's hallucinating, or there's all sorts of different things that show up for different mental illnesses. So schizophrenia, bipolar, they all kind of show up around the same age. And so
oh wow, I'd hate to be like 25 and then all of a sudden have schizophrenia.
Yeah, exactly. And that's also a time in life where there's a lot of other stressors that are happening. So either you're graduating from college, you're starting a family, whatever it is. So all that stress contributes to these. So basically, disorders.
Once you're introduced to life and you're like, whoa, I have bills.
Yeah.
I have to file taxes.
Yeah, exactly.
Then all of a sudden your body goes haywire.
Yeah. So, and it is preventative a lot of times because some of these things do have genetic components too. So you'll see that like a parent and then their child also has schizophrenia and they have schizophrenia. So sometimes there's a genetic component, there are things you can do to prevent it from happening, and there are things you can do to kind of minimize the symptoms and keep it from being as severe. Yeah. Like my husband, he's also a therapist, so he works with preventing psychosis in adolescents. Okay. So in young adults. So he works with kind of minimizing that stress that they have from 13, 14, 15 years old And stress can be living in a bad neighborhood. Stress can be your parents are divorced. Stress, any sort of stress that could happen to a child. That the more stress that they're exposed to, the more likely they are to have these symptoms develop and kind of turn into something more. So if they're able to deal with them at a younger age and kind of minimize them to a point where they're gone, then when they get older, they already have those skills in place to know how to manage those things, and it prevents these severe things from happening.
Well, it's not funny, but when you mentioned like stress can like bring this on to families and stuff. It's just when I'm trying to understand, because usually, like I said before, therapy, people with money usually go get therapy. But it's the low-income families that have the stress. Yeah. It's the low-income families that get stressed out from seeing all sorts of crazy stuff in the neighborhood, stuff that, you never want to see, a kid in elementary and he already knows something about cocaine. It's like, what type of households are you living in? Yeah. And you probably say the word therapist, they have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah. But that's where it needs a...
Yeah, a lot of times, kids, you say therapist, they also think social worker, and they think like, oh, a social worker came to my house once, and like, now my dad's in jail. Or
and now
like,
I'm stressed out more because you're bringing up the word therapy.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, it can be a trigger for some people. And really thinking about that and the fact that low-income families are under more stress and are more likely to develop these mental health issues. Yeah. And that's why... Going back earlier, I was saying there's ways around the expensive therapist deal, like that idea. So things like finding, for college students, your college campuses usually have really cheap therapy options.
That's if you can afford college.
If you're in college. If you're not in college, there's a ton of nonprofits that provide therapy services to families, to children, parents, pretty much anybody. You can find nonprofits in your area and like county funded resources that are available to provide therapy services at pretty much no cost. There's also, like where I used to work at, a community-based clinic that is run by students that were in the master's, the Marriage and Family Therapy Master's program.
In San Diego State.
So, yes. Okay. So they run a clinic in San Diego in City Heights, so it's kind of a low-income area of San Diego. And therapy's as cheap as $12 a session.
Oh, wow. So
that's
basically...
like 90% off.
If you're looking for like a cheaper therapy session with somebody that's literally about to graduate with their master's, you should look into... local schools maybe
exactly
have those type of programs and then look into it, because $12 an hour, you said?
$12
that's not that bad. I spent $15 at Subway today.
Exactly.
Like I can spend $12 for an hour session.
Exactly.
That's legit.
And
see, people don't know about that.
Exactly.
I've never heard of that.
People don't realize that.
You're my family member and you never told me this.
My bad. So I know, working there, I saw clients from all sorts of income levels as well. I saw people that were they were like, hey, like I can only afford $12, and it's like, that's cool. And then I saw couples that were like, we're both professors at a college, and like we've gone to therapy before, but it was like way expensive, so we thought we'd come here and like
try it
capitalize on like the fact that it's cheaper down here, and they only paid $30-$40.
So it might be a good like introductory type of thing. Like you're not sure, do I need this? I'm not trying to blow 200.
Exactly.
Maybe go to this, and if you like it, then you hit up SimpleeTherapy and you pay the big bucks and get the real answers.
Well, even with me, I'm an associate marriage and family therapist, so that means I'm basically in my residency, when it comes to therapy. Yeah. So my fees are like half the price of what they normally would be for a licensed therapist. So I charge anywhere from $60 to like $110. Okay. And most of my clients pay $60 because I'm not trying to rip anybody off. Yeah. But if you look for associates in your area, you can find them on Psychology Today, wherever. Therapy for Black Girls is a great resource to find therapists.
Websites?
Yes, websites. And they are basically directories with all the therapists in the area. Okay. And you can kind of filter out like, oh, I'm looking for a therapist that deals with anxiety versus depression, things like that.
So it like breaks down what they specialize in.
Yeah, and you can look specifically for associates, and they charge way less than everybody else. Basically.
Is it like reviews too on them, or just more like?
I don't think there's reviews, but a lot of them do free like phone consultations. Okay. So you can call and talk to them for a while and kind of get a feel for them.
Okay. Does it show like your picture or something? I'm just saying.
Yeah, it shows like
it's like a black woman might want to talk to another black woman.
It's like a Facebook profile, basically. It's like it has your name and like it has like a whole biography of what you do,
so you
your
get
picture.
To know the person.
Yeah, you can kind of see what their specialty is. Therapy for Black Girls is a great directory and podcast and website. I'm on there as well. That basically, it's a bunch of Black therapists. So you can actually find a therapist that looks like you, which is a lot of times a big part of therapy being successful for like minority people is having someone that looks like them. Because I've had people come to me and they're like, I was going to another therapist, but they were white, and I brought up microaggressions and I brought up like feeling like somebody was being racist to me or whatever. And the therapist kind of denies it and tells them, oh, it's probably not that. You're probably thinking too much into it. And it's like, that is not how you're supposed to be, like, approaching these people and approaching these issues. You can't tell somebody that their experience is wrong. Like, however you feel it happened, that's how it happened. And so really looking for therapists that are culturally competent. That's what we call it in the therapy world. If you can actually deal with minority issues, basically, and are able to... Yeah, it makes a huge difference to be able to say that I'm culturally competent. I am willing to meet you where you're at and kind of understand you from your perspective and not try to understand you from what I think you should be feeling or however they want to put it. Yeah,
I get you. Now, I know you mentioned Kanye earlier. I do want to talk about Brother Kanye. Yeah, he's tripping. You probably can't say that, but I'll say it. Kanye, you tripping. So,
I'll say it too. Kanye tripping.
So, he straight up said that he has a bipolar disorder. Have you ever seen like any of these recent interviews where you're just, I mean, I'm not even sure if you can even say this, like, oh, Kanye didn't take his pills today, obviously. Or
I'm not going to say that.
Right.
But I don't know, personally I think ever since, I mean, Kanye, I love Kanye, but ever since like his mother passed, I feel as if it's been just kind of, not, I won't even say necessarily all downhill, but Kanye changed. Let's just say Kanye kind of changed after that. And he's definitely come out and said like some crazy things. And I'm not just talking about jumping on stage and saying that so-and-so deserves the award more than another, but other things from like slavery is a choice to refusing to say anything negative about Trump, from the Kanye that used to talk about George Bush. Like,
and don't forget all the rants he had on his tours where he would stop the show.
It stopped the whole tour.
Yeah.
At one point he literally stopped the whole tour, what did he say? He like wanted to like something for himself, and
I don't know. I just know he had some of his shows where he stopped the show and he ranted about the little Apple situation with Drake. He ranted about Jay-Z not calling him after Kim got robbed.
Yeah. Or no, more than he got a call, but he said he didn't come see him.
Yeah. But whatever the case is, you know, he just started doing stuff that he normally didn't do. So
now, if you had like a client that was just all over the place like that, like where do you even begin? Like, do you just literally say, okay, start from the beginning. When were you born? Start telling me about your whole life.
I mean, sometimes that's how a first session starts, is like, okay, so what do I need to know? Tell me everything.
Yeah. Because I'm sure sometimes it's like a lot. Like,
yeah. There's definitely sessions that I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to stop you because the hour's up and we're going to have to continue the other half of your life next session because they have a lot to say. Yeah. But that's okay. I mean, I want my clients to feel comfortable saying things because most of the time you have clients that come in and they either spill everything and then they're like, oh, wow, I just told you a lot. Or they're like really quiet and they're like, I don't know what to say. Like, what do you want to know?
Yeah.
But I want to going back to Kanye, I want to point out, I did mention that stress is something that brings these things on and makes symptoms kind of highlighted.
Yeah.
And losing a family member, any sort of grief, is a form of stress on someone. So it's not unlikely or that
something like that
can bring on those symptoms. And bipolar disorder, people have different thoughts about what it looks like, but basically bipolar disorder, what it looks like is there's ups and downs in someone's mood. That's basically what it is. And that can look like depression, so being extremely sad, not wanting to get out of bed, or just feeling down in different sorts of ways. And then on the other side, what we call mania, which is basically being super high. Sometimes that looks like people, they go on like gambling, like frenzies, and they just go and they're like, oh, I'm just like, I know I'm going to make money, like, let me just go. And they're like really excited and like energetic, and just the complete opposite of what you think depression to look like. So with those ups and downs, and then it's anywhere in between as well. So when someone's acting sporadic and kind of doing these things that Kanye does, and like going on shows or going on rants and doing these different things, those are kind of symptoms that typically look like mania. So it could be one side of the bipolar disorder. And then maybe on times that you don't see Kanye, or he's being really quiet, who knows what's going on, but maybe that's the other side of the bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
And it's basically a roller coaster ride for the person that's dealing with it and everybody around them, because if they're not managing it well, then it literally just, any day can be different.
Now, if I had like a bipolar disorder and I was prescribed medicine, and I always take my medicine as directed, would I have like a just one tone type of mood, or would it
you're not
still
going to be flat
going up and down?
Am I going to be a robot?
I'm only saying that because I've seen, I mean, maybe it's just what I see, but I've seen, like, since Mariah Carey has came out and said that she had a bipolar disorder, I haven't heard anything crazy about Mariah Carey since then. And it's like the type of what she portrays on television and on social media, it seems more of like a regular person ever since she came out and said that, hey, I do have like a problem and I'm dealing with it. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe she's now taking medication because she's admitted to it, and she just seems regular now. But Kanye, he says, I have a bipolar disorder, and he's still up and down all the time.
Yeah, well, that could be.
Is it like just personal? People react differently, or
I mean, people do react differently. There's different medications for that treat bipolar disorder. So depending on which one you're taking, you can have a different reaction to it. And so sometimes a psychiatrist will kind of test out multiple prescriptions, or test out different dosages of that prescription, just like any other prescription that you would take for other issues. So once you figure out what works for you, like what dose, what medication works for you, as long as you're taking it like you're supposed to, you should, as you say, kind of be acting like what we consider a normal person. You shouldn't have those
different
extreme mood swings. Yeah, you should basically be able to manage those and stay kind of in that middle area. If you're not, then you're of course gonna see more mood swings happening. Like in Mariah Carey's case, she kind of admitted that she was in denial about it, basically. And then once you accept it and say, okay, I'm going to take meds, then it kind of levels you out and allows you to function the way that you want to, basically. But I also want to point out that the bipolar disorder and like a creative like Kanye, it can almost make his creativity better almost, because if you're in a manic state or you're in a depressed state, that triggers certain things for you that may come out as a new song or a new. So some people may not want to take meds because they feel like it's going to take away that creative edge that that the disorder is giving them, basically.
So basically, Kanye can go into his laboratory. He can create like a whole bunch of cool stuff, and the minute he's stuck on something, he's like, stop taking the pills, and then like a whole burst of creativity might come out after that.
Yeah, but that can cause
Kanye
issues.
just changed.
You can't just choose to like, I'm going to take my meds today because I want to act normal, and then tomorrow I'm not because I want to be creative.
Yeah.
The medication's not going to work then.
But
You have to be taking it consistently.
It's funny you say that though,
of
because I mean, I think Kanye says it himself. When you look back at a lot of famous artists, musicians, all sorts of stuff like that, a lot of them, they seem somewhat sort of crazy, but a crazy genius.
Scientists,
and a lot
type people.
Yeah,
I heard somebody say before, they were like, Kanye's not the smartest individual, but when it comes to creativity, he's a creative genius.
Yeah.
And like he has, from fashion to music, I mean, you might diss Kanye, but you love his shoes, you love his music.
It's like Van
you love
Gogh,
his fashion.
like,
Exactly.
chopped off his own ear.
Yeah.
Like, that's not something a sane person
I'm not going to
does.
say he can't paint.
But he's an amazing artist,
Yeah.
and there's a good chance that he had some mental health issues.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, a lot of them had issues.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it probably does go hand in hand.
See, more like you just gotta, I mean, Kanye did say that his bipolar disorder was his superpower. He may have had a point there.
Yeah.
Because when you start looking back at a lot of these creative geniuses, they may have had some sort of disorder, but hey, got him $1 million.
And at the end of the day, like, who decides what's normal? Like,
that too.
Yeah, you can't tell somebody that, well, if you were a child and, since birth all the way up to 18, you never had an episode.
Yeah.
But now you hit 2022 and you have an episode.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell somebody, well, you're faking.
Yeah.
You ain't did it your whole life.
Yeah.
Where did this come from?
Yeah.
So, if you're not going through it, I feel like, you shouldn't try not to pass judgment.
Yeah.
Try not to pass judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has their own thing that happens in their life, and that changes
you never know.
things, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't decide what's normal. The thing is, the concept of normal is based off of what society has decided it is. So society influences your life from the moment you're born, basically, and says you're supposed to look this way, you're supposed to think this way, you're supposed to do these things. And so if people stopped looking to society to tell them what to do, there would probably be a lot more people that looked crazy. Like, people would be doing their own thing and just living life how they chose to live it.
Yeah. Now, do you think, I mean, is there a way for an individual, like if you're not sure if somebody has a mental illness or anything like that, is there a way like you can like test it, like to see if this person has a issue or anything like that?
They have assessments for things like that for various disorders. The thing is the person willing to participate in answering all the questions and going in to see the therapist to get that done? It's kind of up to them. If you feel like, hey, I feel like my friend is depressed, I feel like my family member has some anxiety issues, whatever it is, then I always say talk to them about it, because at the end of the day, they have to make the decision to go do things. We don't take, like, you can't call and say, like, hey, my friend needs a therapy appointment, I want to book it for them. Like, we're going to say, give your friend my number and they can book it themselves, because if they're not willing to make any changes to their life, then it's not going to help.
I brought it up because, like, if I said, hey, you know what? I want to buy an AK-47 and a few other guns. It's my legal right. Now, if they did make, like, some sort of law where you got to get evaluated first, I just want to know, like, is that even possible? Is there a way where, is there, like, a type of test we can do to somebody where you realize, oh, wait, this person is unstable and there's no way he should have a grenade and a tank in his backyard? Like, is there any, I might sound ignorant to this, but I just want to know, like, is there any sort of testing or evaluation you can give somebody? Because guns is a big thing right now. Yeah. People are like, hey, people have mental illness, they have a mental disorder, that's why he shot up so-and-so. If we had known before, we wouldn't have given that type of gun. I mean, I just want to know, is it even, like, possible to even test somebody for something?
There are assessments for things like that. The thing with that is, are does everybody have to get an assessment done in order to purchase something like this?
Yeah.
And are they gonna be like psychologists that sit in gun stores basically and like do these assessments on the spot? Like, do you have to like go get an assessment first and then bring your results back to like? Yeah, it makes things a lot more complicated.
Yeah, right. That throw in like health insurance. Like say people don't have health insurance. What? So now you can't buy a gun? Yeah. So that's another. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a touchy subject. Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, certain things, I'm like, yo, maybe we should like at least get some ID on the person and maybe keep it in.
But the thing is, period. Like when it comes to people buying weapons and mental health and X, Y, and Z, I feel like unless you're in the military or you're not with some special ops or doing some type of security or whatever, there's no reason you should be buying a semi-automatic weapon.
Yeah. A pistol is one thing.
Right. A pistol and a shotgun and a rifle, that should do enough damage. If you got those weapons to protect you, a pistol is small enough to pull out and do what you need to do. Yeah. A rifle is nice enough to have a distance. If somebody trying to come up on your yard and they're 100 yards off. Yeah. Okay. Shotgun is, somebody about to come through the door, you pull it out, boom. Why do you need an AK-47? Yeah. So, to me, I think those should be banned from people being able to buy, and it would stop a lot of stuff from happening.
That's what I was thinking, like, maybe if you're trying to go get one of those extreme guns, maybe we should be able to start doing, like, a heavier evaluation. Even though it takes longer, I mean, if you really want something that crazy, I mean, can we just make sure everything's okay with you and, you know.
Yeah, and I would hope that they're at least, I don't know how purchasing a gun works, but like for me, just to get my job, just to do what I do, I have to do a background check. And they do like a thorough, like, do you have any history of any sort of crime or anything? Like if you have to do a background check in order to buy a weapon, I feel like that would be fair. And if maybe including your mental health history in that background check became a thing, that would be helpful as well.
Maybe you know a little bit more about it, Derek, but I think, isn't like gun shows, I'm not sure if it's everywhere, but I know in the South, you can go to a gun show and
tell you how I bought my gun when I was in North Carolina?
Yeah, how'd you do it?
I went down to the courthouse, paid, I don't know if it was like $25 for my gun permit. Showed my license, gave him a copy of electric bill, boom. Waited for a week, my permit came back in, and I went to work. While I was at work, I gave my twin brother my license and my permit, and he bought my gun from me. I mean, we're twins. Yeah, we look alike. But I didn't have nobody sat there. Now, I know they ran some type of background check.
Okay, they did.
But, you know, I was never arrested. You know, of course, I've never been to the doctor for anything mentally or anything like that. But it was just that easy. Just that easy. So,
but I heard like some gun shows, you just give them cash.
I mean, but
they don't do no checks.
Well, no. When you come to a gun show, you do have to show your permit. So, you know, my permit had to be shown before I bought my pistol.
Okay.
You know, so
you do have to have a gun permit.
Yeah. You have to have get a gun from a gun show. You have to have a gun permit. Okay. And that's where the issue with a lot of these kids, their parents may have a permit and bought the gun, and then they stole it from the house or whatever the case may be. And then sometimes online, people can buy guns off the black market and have pieces of a gun sent to them, and they just put the gun together. Oh, wow. And then use it. You know, so it's crazy, man.
Now, Annalie, like, is there ever, like, a situation where you think, like, hey, this child's maybe have, like, some sort of thoughts, maybe express to you, like, I do want to shoot somebody or something. If he came up to you and had those type of thoughts, are you allowed to talk to the parent and share what was discussed if you think it's like in favor of people's safety?
Yeah, in those cases, legally, I have to tell someone. Okay. Like, as a therapist, any therapist, we're bound to certain laws and ethics that we have to follow. And I literally have a sign in my office with my students that says, like, everything you say is confidential except these 4 things. Child abuse, elder abuse, suicidal or homicidal thoughts, basically. Okay. So if any student comes to me and says, I want to
shoot somebody,
hurt myself or hurt somebody else, I'm legally responsible for telling the police, basically. So not just like telling their parents like, hey, I think something's wrong with them. It's like, no, I need to inform like the police and say like, hey, like there's some things going on. They had a plan, like they threatened the school, or they threatened a mall, or wherever it is. Unfortunately, like anywhere now, and let them know.
So that's good. So like, if you had a 40-year-old man and he expressed to you that he wants to do some terrible things, and he straight up told you, and I do own guns, so I can do it, you would then be able to at least tell some sort of authority.
Yeah, I wouldn't just be able to, I would have to.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I would hate to find out that someone did that and shared all these thoughts with a therapist and
they didn't say
anything.
Now, this is the thing, too. If someone's my client and they're having these thoughts and they're coming to me and they didn't say that outright, like they didn't tell me outright, like, hey, I want to do this, this, and this, and this is my plan.
And you just would never
then
know.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
And then a lot of these issues, too, is people have these issues, they're having these thoughts, and they don't have a therapist or have someone that is a mandated reporter to tell on them.
Right. Yeah,
yeah, man, that's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you do what you can, basically. You can't save everybody, but it is nice to know that at least I wasn't sure, because I know there's like a lot of confidentiality, so I'm not sure. You just have to sit there like, man, I hope he doesn't really go through with it.
Yeah, no, I literally have to tell someone, Yeah, that's the thing. Luckily, like in schools and stuff, you're seeing a lot more therapists on site and a lot more people that are being trained. Teachers are being, not as often as I'd like, but a lot of teachers are being trained in recognizing the signs of things in kids and being able to tell them like, hey, I think you need to go speak with the therapist on campus or whatever, and have them kind of work through some of those things so that they don't get to that point where they're having those thoughts. We want to do as much preventative work as possible.
That's pretty, like, did you always want, like, when did you realize, like, I want to get into this field? Was it really you realized I was your brother and you were like, man, this guy's crazy. Let me try to give him some help.
Oh, if only. I got into it really in my freshman year of college. So
just straight off the bat.
I was an accounting major and I was doing something totally different, and I took an elective class, and my teacher was actually a marriage and family therapist, and I was in that was like my class. Like I was like, oh, I'm about to go to this class. I'm so excited. We're writing a paper on like different relationships and stuff this week. And I like literally after that semester ended, I was like, I'm changing my major because I need to take nothing but these classes.
Okay.
So changed my major and got a really great mentor that kind of was a therapist.
The name of that class was what that you took?
It was relationships in college. It was like one of those like filler classes that like you're supposed to take. Like other kids took like chocolate, and like the whole class was about like random different types of chocolate. And, like,
wait, what school did you go to?
She told you already.
No, University of Georgia. It's like a freshman odyssey class, they called it. So it was like we
had like stupid electives. Like we had like
I mean, I had sex ed. I thought
we
that
had
was
African
cool.
American experience and at an HBCU.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm like, why? We had like analytical reasoning, like so it's like an elective for your freshman year.
Yeah.
But I never, man, I took sex ed. I did take a psychology class, which was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, what class you taking, man? I'm taking chocolate.
What? Like that wasn't the name of the class, but like that's what the class was. It was all about chocolate. Like I know that was the class that was like most popular that year. Like
I'm sure
was trying to get into that class.
I was sure,
but it was just like a random like 1 credit elective that you're supposed to take freshman year, and I feel like they're just trying to get people out of their comfort zones and like take this random class with like other students that are interested in something you're interested in.
Okay.
So maybe you'll make some friends and stuff.
So you took a family. What was it called again?
It was called Relationships in College.
Okay, so and then you realize, okay, this is it.
Yeah, I was so passionate about it. I was like, I mean, I don't want to go to my other classes, but I definitely want to go to this class. Yeah. Like, how often does that happen? How often are you excited about writing an essay?
Yeah.
So, change my major.
You gotta like what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Like, accounting would have been, probably more profitable for me, but... But doing this is, I literally leave every single one of my sessions with every single one of my clients. I mean, if you like math,
fulfilled. Like Derric. Derric's the finance guy.
Yeah.
See, me, man, after the 12 times table, I'm done. Like, that's it.
That's all the math you want to be doing.
Yep.
Oh gosh, but yeah, it worked out for me pretty well, and
Okay,
I'm
so
able to
right after
do what I
University of Georgia, home of the what y'all say,
Or,
UGA.
the dogs. Some of the dogs?
You got to do the. I'm gonna embarrass you. I'm your big brother.
No.
What did the Bulldogs say?
No, I'm not.
Right? No. University of Georgia students are watching worldwide right now.
Oh gosh.
Don't be embarrassed. I'll do it with you.
We go dogs, sick 'em.
Hey! Every time they get around each other, they say that. So then you went there. You moved back to California.
Yeah.
You went to San Diego State, and then I know you said it before. And then the master's degree that you got was a slightly different name. Still
It's
related.
counseling in marriage and family therapy.
Got it. Okay.
So did the master's degree for 2-ish years.
Okay.
And after that, then I'm in a stage where I'm collecting hours. So you have to collect 3,000 hours.
Basically in your residency now.
Yeah.
How long does that approximately take?
Usually about 2 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I should be done a little bit earlier than that.
Okay. All right. And then once that is done,
You get licensed.
you get licensed,
Yeah.
and then what do you do with that license? You move from the place you're at now, or like, are you able to open up your own clinic?
Yeah,
or?
basically the hours is basically you still have a supervisor collecting during the time that you're collecting all your hours.
Right.
So
Okay.
someone that's basically licensed and like checking in and making sure you're doing your job right.
Oh, okay.
And then once you become licensed, you could now be that person if you wanted to.
Okay.
You're like on your own. Like we hope that you keep consulting with people, and you should be consulting
Man,
with people still. But
Sorry to cut you off, but who's checking your hours? Like, who does that?
Sheila Cameron, she is my supervisor.
At your job?
At my private practice, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So she's a licensed marriage and family therapist, and she supervises me basically on a weekly basis. And make sure I'm doing what I need to be doing.
Okay.
So once you get licensed, you can say, hey, all right, I got my license in the mail today. Next Monday, I'm going to file papers and get my own office to have my own practice.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
And I want people to know a little bit about yourself, too, so we're going to go a little bit off subject for a few more minutes, but I think the big question right now, it's been on the news, it's been on BET, the ABC, it's been on the radio, social media, I've seen it on Twitter, seen it on Instagram. Who has a hotter album, Cardi B or Nicki Minaj?
Cardi B.
Cardi B, really?
Yeah.
And Nicki Minaj got a lot of promo right now.
No, she really doesn't. That's why she got to go and try to sell her album with a package, with a poster, and 3 months of title free if you buy her album digitally. That means you have an issue with your numbers if you pushing that deal out and trying to get people to buy your album.
And then, like, the first thing she rolled out was with Apple, right? Like Queen Radio?
Yeah,
so she literally...
That's corny, too.
So she literally has something going on with Apple and Tidal.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to both the albums, and I honestly did... Not necessarily that I bumped both of them, but I listened to Cardi B's album, and it seemed like from start to finish, from the name of the album, which was what was it called again? Something privacy? Invasion of Privacy. From start to finish, it had a good feel to it. It had a cool flow.
It's like upbeat.
And I like how she like throw in that Latina flavor, because with that I Like It Like That. I mean, that's an old. The youngsters don't realize that's a sample. Yeah, that's a banger. The original was a banger.
Yeah,
and she flipped it. And now Nicki Minaj, I feel like this last album, she kind of did like what Drake did by putting a little Caribbean twist, because I'm not sure if everybody realized she's from Trinidad. Yeah. And then Cardi B's parents are Dominican? Are they Dominican?
Yeah, I think
possibly. So she has the Latin flavor. Nicki came with a few reggae tunes. She has a song with Foxy Brown. Song with Nas that didn't really make the album, more like a bonus track type of thing.
That song should have been on the album.
It should have, but I guess the sample never got cleared. But you just straight up, you listen to both of them, you're still like bopping to the Cardi B.
And I have nothing against Nicki Minaj. I remember getting like the Pink Friday CD. I'm aging myself, but CD Christmas, and I was so excited about that CD. Like
it's so bad that we're looking at CDs like 8 tracks.
Hey man, anytime I like, I'm getting the CD.
Yeah.
CD.
I feel you.
But I love Pink Friday, and then I just haven't listened to her since, basically.
Really?
Like, I listened to the most recent album, and it's a little slower, and it's got a different vibe, and I do, like, hear the hints of, like, old Nicki in it.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't, I feel like it doesn't fit into, like, music right now. It's not as fun as, like, it's not like a summer, like, hit album that you want to.
That, exactly. I think
like
that's
it's like
it.
the wrong time of year or something.
You really like just hit the nail on the coffin with that, because that's what I kind of felt too when I listened to it. I was like, all right, like she got some bars, but at the same time I was like, this isn't really fun. Like I'm not really bopping to it.
Yeah.
The Chun-Li song was like, okay, it has a little bounce to it, but besides that, it really wasn't. I actually loved the song more with the Nas. And that was even technically on the album, really. So
yeah, that's why I said to me
that should have been on there.
Yeah, if that was on the album, that would have been the best song on the album.
Wow.
To be 100% honest.
Wow.
What I don't like about Nicki now, you don't see much progression.
Mm-hmm.
It's like she's stuck at that little coming on stage, show my body, do all that case, whatever the case may be. I haven't seen her progress into the next stage. So like Drake or Jay-Z or whoever the case may be, as they get to their third or fourth album, they pivot on what they're speaking about.
Yeah.
She's still on the same stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, you down Lil' Kim here and there, but everything you do mimics her.
Mm-hmm.
All your photo shoots where you got, your legs open, that's Lil' Kim. So everything you do is Lil' Kim, but then you try to knock her, in certain instances.
And I don't like, she always wants respect from new artists.
Right.
But it's like you didn't do that when you came into the game.
Now, she did to a certain extent. When she came on, she gave, Lil' Kim, Foxy, and she said, if she named rappers, this is who I would name, I get it in respect. But also, on the other hand, I believe she says stuff like that just to reference it. Not that she 100% means it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, Nicki been acting different lately. It seemed like she acting like a little spoiled little kid. That's how I look at her. And Cardi B, to me, the way she acts is just 100% her.
Yeah.
She don't care if you think she ghetto, she can barely talk.
Yeah.
And I think people are buying into her as a person more so than what she can do lyrically. And we know a bunch of people write her music. A bunch of people write Nicki stuff too.
Yeah.
But I think people more buy into Cardi as a person more so than Nicki Minaj.
I don't follow a lot of celebrities on Instagram, but I follow Cardi B. I'm like, she
you
just
have to.
She posted, I feel like I'm friends with her. Like, she be posting things about her baby and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I got a baby too. I feel you, girl. Like, after pregnancy,
She seems relatable.
Yeah, it's like I feel like she's my friend in my head.
She even took over the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, that is big. Like, there's nobody. Like, I've never seen Tom Hanks taking over the Tonight Show.
Bro.
I've never seen
Cardi
B,
B,
somebody big like that. Cardi B, who was on Love and Hip Hop, is that big now?
She went from stripping to Love and Hip Hop.
Pause.
Yeah, she went from stripping to Love and Hip Hop and took that to, way past anybody ever has done.
Yeah.
And she keep winning, bro.
Yeah.
She keep winning.
It shows that, just being genuine kind of sells a lot.
I think so.
Trying to
because I don't want to diss Cardi and say she's not intelligent.
Yeah.
But when it comes to understanding of certain things, when she first got into the industry, the music and how the game worked, I don't think she really knew what she was doing.
Yeah. I think she would admit to that.
Right, yeah. She would. But she just kept pushing.
Yeah.
And you saw in Love and Hip Hop, DJ Self would never give her the time of day. And she just wanted to get her music played and heard. But she just kept pushing, kept talking to people. And then it got to one hit. It took Bodak. Once you got that Bodak Yellow, it's like, all right, can you follow up?
Yeah.
And then she been doing it.
Yeah. Now, as a woman,
her album sales first week killed Nicki Minaj.
Man, I heard Travis Scott's second week did better than Nicki Minaj's first week.
Yep.
But as a woman, so you. Who do you listen to, really? Is it even Cardi B? Or, do you listen to Cardi B? Or we just compared to Nicki, you listen to her
Bodak Yellow
more?
is on, all of my playlists. So I
All
definitely
of your
listen
playlists.
to Cardi B.
Yeah.
But I listen to a wide range.
Yeah.
Variety.
But, hip-hop, R&B, who be, really looking at?
Right now, I listen to Cardi. I listen to a lot of Rihanna, even though it's old. I know
might
she
have a
hasn't come
dance
out with-
album coming out.
Yeah, exactly. I
soon.
heard she has a new album coming out, so definitely listen to that. I listen to all the mainstream stuff that you would expect me to listen to. I listen to Drake. I listen to Jay-Z. I love J. Cole. Love Kendrick right now. I listen a little bit to Travis Scott, but like the things that like my high school students are listening to, like I'm like I don't know who that is.
We may actually have to talk about that on another show with kids. Listen to the rappers with the colorful hair that talk about doing lean pills, from
so rapping about suicide.
Yeah, rapping about suicide, all sorts of stuff like that. I mean, I think cutting yourself and doing drugs.
That's the thing that scared me about
next generation.
Yeah, that. But for a while, like even when I was in college, when Gucci and all this stuff started coming out, I didn't really like Gucci Mane and stuff like that. People like, oh, wait, you don't like Gucci, he rapping about this, he real. I'm like, I understand it. There's other real niggas, real rappers out there. Jay-Z real, yeah, he sold drugs.
Yeah.
So he did it, so hopefully you wouldn't have to go through that, blah, blah, blah. But I don't want to listen to something that I don't agree with. So I'm not going to listen to Gucci Mane talking about quarter brick, whole brick, half, whatever the case is. For what? Like, we're in college and like, it's like, bro, to me, at a certain point, you gotta, as you're growing, I don't want to listen to something that can fit, at some point can influence me to do something like that. That's why I never like that type of rap. And when it comes to kids now, they play that stuff on the radio. It's like, this is the number one song.
It shouldn't be the cool thing to do.
Right. What's that one Post Malone song where he talking about popping pills? But it sound cool. He's singing, he's harmonizing. But when you really listen to it, he talking about doing pills and all that other stuff.
I'd respect it more if he said, I used to do it, now I don't. Like, just like you said earlier, Jay-Z said, Hov did that, so hopefully you ain't got to go through that.
Yeah.
Man, when I was a little kid, like, I was like, oh yeah, I've never sell drugs. Hopefully I don't have to go through that. Like, I was like, this is gold! Gold! He's the best rapper alive!
He did it for me. I ain't got to sell it. He sold it.
This man is real! Possibly, like, you listen to someone talking about drugs? No, he said he did that.
Yeah.
So hopefully I ain't got to go through that. Like, I thought, man, I just enjoyed hip-hop a lot more than little kids now probably say we're like the old heads.
Hey,
we just stuck on somebody.
I'm still
new thing, but we're definitely going to have to talk about that on another episode. I definitely need to get you back because there's a lot to talk about in mental health. There's always something.
I told him, like, first, before we even had the first show, he should have had you on here.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I had to build up an audience. No, man. I had to build up an audience to make sure that they tune in to episode 6 with Lee from SimpleeTherapy. And I want you to give out the website, give out the Instagram one time before time runs out.
Get this on here real quick. Let my followers know what's up.
Let them know. We got to get the followers up. Okay. We'll be on the Snap, be on the Insta.
What's up? We on Insta.
It's your boy Albeezy live from Suite 303.
Suite 303 podcast.
Yep.
She broadcasting live.
A couple of days.
Okay, yeah.
A couple of days.
But yeah, no. Give out the website. Also, do you have an email that people can reach out to you?
If you go to the website, there's an appointment request.
There we go.
Place you can.
Which spell it out again for the viewers.
It's SimpleeTherapy, SimpleeTherapy, THERAPY.com.
Because her name is Lee.
Yes.
Right.
Go by Lee. You can at SimpleeTherapy on Instagram. You can find SimpleeTherapy on Facebook.
On Facebook, okay.
Go to the website.
We have Twitter too, or the kids don't do Twitter anymore.
I don't have time for that.
Kids don't do Twitter. All right, but yeah, we definitely got to get in touch with you. And Derek, what's your Instagram name so people can follow you as well?
What is my Instagram, man?
He ain't on Insta like that.
I don't know. It's D.Turner12, I think.
Man, you better look that up while I give out mine.
Let me check.
Now, for ours, you can definitely go to Suite 303 Podcast on Instagram. It's also at Suite 303 Podcast on Twitter. If you go on YouTube, live from Suite 303, just type that in. Everything that you need is going to pop up. You can hit me up at I am Albeezy on Instagram and Twitter as well. And while we get this man's name, this man forgot his name.
Here we go. My Instagram is D.Turner_12.
There we go. But yeah, this was live from Sweet 303, episode 6. Definitely gonna have another episode regarding mental health. It was a pleasure to have my little sister.
Yeah, man.
As she goes to the
Glad to be
viewers,
here.
Lee. She's simply Lee. And yeah, thanks to Derek coming back out, my co-host.
Yeah.
And we're gonna catch y'all next time. Episode 7 is gonna be big as well. But thanks for listening. If you guys want to be on the show in the future, hit me up in the DMs. If you guys got show ideas, hit me up in the DMs. Tell a friend. But yeah, this was live from Sweet 303, episode 6 with Lee. And we out.
We out.